By now, you've all heard of Italian Wine Unplugged 2.0, the latest book published by Mama Jumbo Shrimp. It's more than just another wine book. The fully updated second edition was inspired by students of the Vinitaly International Academy and painstakingly reviewed and revised by an expert panel of certified Italian wine ambassadors from across the globe. The book also includes an edition by Professore Attilio Scienza, Italy's leading vine geneticist. The benchmark producers feature is a particularly important aspect of this revised edition. The selection makes it easier for our readers to get their hands on a bottle of wine that truly represents a particular grape or region. To pick up a copy, just head to Amazon.com or visit us at mamajumboshrimp.com. Welcome to this special Italian wine podcast broadcast. This episode is a recording off Clubhouse, the popular drop-in audio chat. This Clubhouse session was taken from the Wine Business Club and Italian Wine Club. Listen in as wine lovers and experts alike engage in some great conversation on a range of topics in wine. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. And remember to subscribe and rate our show wherever you tune in.
Hi everyone, my name is Laika. Welcome everybody to Italian Wine Clubhouse Ambassadors Corner. We are now on our 87th episode of today's show. So our current clubhouse has been ranking the top amongst the Italian wine podcast shows. The concept of the show is to let Italian wine ambassadors have the opportunity to interview their favorite producers. This is an episode that gives them a free hand to ask any questions to their selected producer. This session is recorded and will be released in Italian Wine Podcast to reach more listeners, and especially for those who cannot participate due to the time zone differences. So we don't have a lot of people in our audience today, but we will be uploading this next week on our Italian Wine show. Our guest moderator today, Charlotte Ho, our Italian wine ambassador from Hong Kong. She's currently in Milan with her favorite producer, Sonia Spadaro Mulone of Santa Maria la Nave. Hi, Charlotte. Hi, Sonia. How are you guys?
Hi, Laika. Hi. We are fine. And you?
All good here. How's it going? How was your trip, Charlotte? Was it everything good?
It's great. I was actually here for Vinitaly,
Okay.
and then stayed behind over Easter, and now I'm in actually my last day in Italy. But I'm flying back tomorrow, so it's great that we can actually have this podcast today together with Sonia physically.
Yeah, thanks Sonia and Charlotte for finding time to arrange, the interview for the clubhouse, and really appreciate the effort for contributing for the Italian wine community. So thanks a lot.
Thank you too.
Thank you. All right, so I have three questions for you, Charlotte, before we proceed. First, tell us, why did you select Sonia as your favorite producer?
Thank you, Laika. So first of all, like many of us listening, I really love wines from Sicily. So as you know, we all know it's the largest island on the Mediterranean, and in particular, I love the wines from Mount Etna, which is Europe's tallest active volcano. But out of all the producers of Etna, why did I pick Sonia? So actually, while there are more and more well-made Etna wines nowadays, the wines of Santa Maria la Nave are really unique, and I think you really need to try them to fully understand what I'm talking about. To me, their wines are one of those wines from Etna that you can really taste and feel the Etna soul and the Etna heartbeat, if I may. And finally, Sonia, right now in front of me, she's such an incredible, determined, passionate, strong, and also such a beautiful woman, who really, really inspires me. So it really is my pleasure to be able to, invite her to have this conversation here on at Clubhouse Ambassadors Corner. It's also my first Clubhouse, so really excited.
Yes, you also mentioned that you were inspired by listening to Alan Kwok's interview before on Ambassadors
Yes, yes,
Corner.
yes.
So it's
And Ellen
actually
is
here in
here.
the audience. Yes. What are the learning objectives that we should expect from this interview?
Yeah, sure. So as a BIA ambassador, we care about learning a lot. So from the learning objectives perspective, I am most curious to find out more about the Grecanico dorato. Basically, as we know, it's a Sicilian sort of biotype of Garganega on Etna, which Sonia is producing a varietal wine out of. Also, I would like to talk to Sonia and understand more from her about her project and collaboration with academics in preserving relic and rare vines on Etna. As a Etna wine lover myself, I'm also keen to hear Sonia's story on heroic viticulture on Etna, what kind of challenges she faces there, and what changes she has seen sort of in the recent years on the winemaking scene on Etna.
And how did you discover the wines of Santa Maria la Neve?
In fact, I was having a blind tasting gathering with my fellow VIA ambassador study group mates in Hong Kong. And one of us brought along a bottle of Millesulmare, which is the white wine produced by Sonia, and that is made out of 100% Grecanico Dorato. As you may tell from the name of the wine, Millesulmare, so thousand from the sea, literally. It is a wine grown at very high altitudes, and we will hear more about it from Sonia later. Anyway, that wine really blew me away. And it was very different from what you expect from maybe the more familiar Soave Garganega wines. It really exhibited sort of kind of high altitude sensation. The wine was very clear, very pure. It has herbal and salty character, very flinty, airy, but still with amazing acidity. So it was a wine that was very unforgettable for me. So it really is my pleasure to be able to talk to Sonia here today.
That seems to be a very interesting discussion to look forward to. And I'm actually I hope I have a wine with me right now. You kind of made me so excited to drink. So before I proceed to give the floor to you, I would like to introduce you to the audience. Charlotte Ho. Charlotte's love for Italian wines was born during a trip to Tuscany in 2012. After that, she visited Italy every year, exploring different regions and their local food and wines. During COVID 19, unable to travel, she decided to embark on a journey to systematically study and learn about Italian grapes and wines. With a background in law and economics, she enrolled in VIA's Italian Wine Maestro course in 2021 and became a VIA Italian Wine Ambassador the following year. Apart from promoting Italian wines in Hong Kong through volunteering in events and tasting, she also started a social media account in 2021 dedicated to the sharing and spreading of knowledge and love for Italian wines. You can find her on Instagram at Those Wine Moments. Okay, so yeah, I am going to mute myself and now I'm turning over the floor to you.
Thank you, Laika. Thank you also for the kind introduction, and also for the opportunity to co-host this podcast. As you introduced earlier, I'm normally based in Hong Kong, but happen to be in Milan tonight. And it's amazing that I can interview Sonia in person. So, without further ado, let me introduce Sonia, who is the owner and CEO of Santa Maria la Nave. In just a few years, she has transformed a small family vineyard devoted to, family and friends consumption into a real jewel of Etnean viticulture and biodiversity. Despite the limited quantities produced, Sonia's wines now reach more than 20 countries in the world and are requested by some of the best restaurants and sophisticated collectors. Her wines are also appreciated by international critics. For example, Millesulmare 2016, which is actually the one that I tried in Hong Kong. This wine has been included by Decanter in the list of the 50 most exciting wines in the world. Sonia's mission, is also to protect Mount Etna's biodiversity and identify and work with ancient and almost extinct local grape varieties while maintaining maximum respect to the Etna traditions, the environment, and the local communities. Her work on the ancient reliquia grape varieties is carried with the support of University of Catania. And we will be talking, a lot today about, this project and also her dedication to promoting biodiversity. And linked to, her dedication to biodiversity, even though not strictly relating to wine, I also wanted to share something about Sonia. She is actually a co-founder of a company specialized in creating Sicilian spirits as well, with rare local ingredients. And actually, the first launch is a vodka called Volcanica. I really want to try it. Obtained distilling ancient Sicilian grains. And 3 years ago, she received the Semenza Award for her activity as custodian of Sicilian and Etnean biodiversity. So I think without further ado, instead of hearing more from me, just introducing Sonia, let's put questions to Sonia. So my first question is, could you maybe tell us a little bit about your winery? And in particular, I want to ask you about the location of your vineyards. I know they are called Casa Decima and Monte Elice. In particular, I understand Casa Decima is outside of the Etna DOC area. So why did you pick this place to as your vineyards?
Yeah, good evening, dear friends, wherever you are. And before to start, tell my story and what I do, I wanted to thank you, Charlotte and Stevie Kim, to inviting me to Italian Wine Podcast. It's an honor to me and a joy spend a bit of time together talking about wines and Santa Maria la Nave. So I devote my entire life to my little three babies and to Santa Maria la Nave, which I consider as a fourth baby. So Santa Maria la Nave is a boutique winery fully focused on environmentally friendly and extreme viticulture Mount Etna. I'm working only with native and almost extinct grape varieties under a strict organic regime and following a biodynamic approach, as in the past the ancient farmers did it. So, my philosophy is very simple. Without passion, nothing grows. There is no way around it. And before to introducing my extreme vineyards, I'm proud to say that every single berry comes from to my two vineyards on Mount Etna. And this is crucial for me because I think that behind an authentic and an excellent wine, there is the grape, and a good grape means unhealthy and happy grapes at the same time. For this reason, I decided to use chemicals, pesticides, nothing. I just want to take care of the framework around my vineyards, of the nature around the vineyards, and I devoted all my energies and my huge efforts to search the perfect grape to produce an excellent wine. But going back to my vineyards, I have the first vineyard is located on the southeast side of the volcano in a very steep slopes of Mount Ilice, one of more of 200 craters around Mount Etna. You have to think Mount Etna, by the way, Mount Etna is a her, is female, is mountain, a montagna. It's not just male volcano, power to the woman. Sorry for the man. And then you have to think about this crater, more of 200, as little kids around their mom. So Mount Ilice is one of these, is the youngest and the biggest crater at the same time. We will celebrate Mount Ilice's 1000th birthday proper in this year. And if you think that Mount Etna is 700,000 years old, Mount Illich is like a baby. His age is nothing. But it's my vineyard is located there is pretty unique because it's a very ancient vineyard with a Prephyloxera heart on a black volcanic sand. This vineyard is a real and authentic tribute of Etna viticulture because I identified there 21 local grape varieties, and I'm now working with a local university to identify other 15 grape varieties, which for the moment are unknown. And it's unbelievable because they are real and rare gems, almost extinct grapes variety, called for this reason reliquia, relic in English, like Madama Bianca, Madama Nera, terribile, terribile with double B, because apparently this grape variety was able to resist to Phylloxera. We have Vispara, Zumatteo, Moscatello Rosa dell'Etna, and many others. This vineyard, for this reason, I think about this vineyard as a real oasis of biodiversity, and has been said by Donalfio. Donalfio was a gentleman and a farmer, something like my grandfather, to be honest, who take care of this amazing and beautiful heaven of biodiversity for the most part of his life. And he was a guardian of this precious and almost extinct oasis, no, biodiversity. But when he turned 80, he was very tired because take care of this extreme vineyard is very hard. And so he was looking for a successor. And I met him proper in that period, like a serendipity. So, under Donalfio supervision, I started with a very complex restoration of this ancient and beautiful vineyard, because my desire, my dream is to help this vineyard back to the splendor it deserves. Unfortunately, Donalfio passed away in 2018, but he is always in my heart because I can feel his soul around me when I walk and when I work in my vineyards on Mount Illiche. Going back to the other vineyard, we move on in the opposite side of the volcano. We are on the northwest side at 1,100 meters above sea level, where I have my Casa Decima vineyard, one of the highest vineyard in Europe. So this part of the volcano is pretty hidden, and for this reason it kept intact through the century. And Casa Decima vineyard is the result of a muscle selection for long 15 years of the ancient and abandoned Prephyloxera vines called Grecanico Dorato and the almost extinct Albanello. So, in the past, the ancient farmers selected through the centuries the strongest varieties which could resist to the extreme altitude. Not only vines, but they selected fruit trees, chestnuts, almond, and for this reason, I think to Casa Decima vineyard like a oasis, a heaven of biodiversity, because inside we have more of 200 species of fruits, trees, and plants. And in this area, I produce, in this vineyard, I produce my Millesulmare and my Tempesta Metodo Classico from a Grecanico Dorato grape. But to answer to your last question, no, why I choose no, this area? And I think that the first reason is because I want to save, I want to protect this precious DNA of Grecanico Dorato, which I have been reproduced in the Casadecima vineyard. And then because I love doing some different, no? And for me, Casadecima vineyard is and the Grecanico Dorato grape are unique because believe me, there is something of mystical, pure energy in that place. When I go there, I feel better and richer.
Thank you. Yeah, just following up on your choice to make 100% Grecanico Dorato. I understand you bottle only 4 wines, as you said, 1 Metodo Classico, 2 and then there are 2 white wines and 1 red wine. How did you decide to do a 100% Grecanico Dorato as your flagship white wine, and instead of Caricante, which is the more well-known Etna Bianco grape as the world knows it?
Yeah, yes. For the moment, yes, I'm producing 4 wines. Um, 2 wines. I called. I love defining iconic cru is the Millesulmare and Calmarossa, and also I produce other 2 wines which I define super cru because they come only from very selected vines from my vineyards. And so back to Millesulmare. Millesulmare is 100% Grecanico Dorato from vineyard Casadecima, as I mentioned before. And I love this grape because I can produce Millesulmare is very pure and very linear wine. But the most important thing is Millesulmare is at the same time a mountain and a volcanic wine together. And it's unbelievable, no? Because I started to save this precious DNA and clones Grecanico Dorato, and I reproduced and planted by offshoot method in Casadecima vineyard. But I think that the real meaning of this wine is its balance. Millesulmare, as Charlotte kindly mentioned before, has been awarded from Decanter as one of the most exciting wines of the world. So it's unique because it's even a result of a late harvest. In fact, we harvest usually end of October, but even the first part of November, my birthday, by the way, and I celebrating many times during the harvest. And as I mentioned before, I like to do something different, and so for this reason, I choose Millesulmare and Calmarossa is my other iconic cru, and I produce this on Mount Illich. I consider Calmarossa an authentic expression of the elegance of our volcano. And because if you think that, as I mentioned before, Mount Illich is very young, so the soil is untouched volcanic black soil. It's unbelievable. But move on to Tempesta and Red Illich, my super cru. Tempesta, a Grecanico Dorato Metodo Classico, is a limited edition because I don't produce each year, and I want to explain why. Because Tempesta came from a special plot called 13 plot of my Casadecima vineyard. Because beside this plot, I have ancient fruit trees berries, like chestnut, apples, walnuts, cherries, and they are a monument. And I don't want to cut them because I think it's a shame. I want to protect the nature. I don't want to destroy it. So, what's happened during the August and September? There are 1 hour of shadow, and this create very peculiar characteristic in my Grecanico Dorato, because in this case, in certain years, a little bit lower in sugar and acidity a bit higher, and this is perfect for metodo classico. So I start to produce tempesta only in 2015, 2016, and the last one 2020. But we are talking about a very small production, 1,000 bottles more or less. But the story of my other super crew, il Re d'Ilice, literally means the king of Mount Ilice. It's a Prephyloxera white grape varieties. The most part of them is pretty extinct, which I want to create as a tribute to Don Alfio. Don Alfio in my heart will be the king of Mount Ilice forever. So I want to dedicate this special and unique white wine in his honor, because Don Alfio, while we pruning together, work together in this beautiful vineyard, taught me that through the century, the ancient farmers selected these varieties of white grape native of Mount Etna because they mature all together at the same time. And when I observed this, I was astonished because it was true. And so I start to produce this just to honor his memory, and because I'm sure he will be very, very happy.
Okay, thank you. I would like to follow up a bit more on the Grecanico Dorato finds. Can you tell us a bit more? And also, in VIA, we studied how Grecanico Dorato is genetically identical with Garganega in Veneto. How would you compare the wines from Soave and your wine?
This is a very interesting question. Thank you, Charlotte, and because to give me the opportunity to talk more about my Millesulmare. So my Millesulmare, as I mentioned before, it's a very unique grape, but at the same time, Grecanico Dorato is incredibly lazy, because yes, before woke up from the winter season, there is a it's a long time. It's a long time also for the maturation process. Even if you think the harvest is end of October or early November, but I'm a patient woman, so I'm happy because Grecanico Dorato takes the better of summertime in Sicily, and so it's the result is really special. And if you consider that the 15 or 20% of the vineyard is ungrafted, and when vine, unfortunately, it can up and dies because we have a lot of enemy, rabbits, wild pigs. No, we reproduce thanks to the offshoot method. So it's pretty interesting. Concerning to the comparison, the Grecanico Dorato and Soave, I'm not a geneticist, but I know I studied a lot about this topic because it's very interesting in my opinion, and I think and I studied that there is a connection in a certain part of the DNA between Grecanico Dorato, Garganica, and the third. The third is Malvasia del Marresa in Catalonia, in Spain, unfortunately almost extinct. So all this is fascinating. The origin of this grape, I mean, Grecanico Dorato, is involved into the mystery, because the name Grecanico Dorato recalls Greek origin,
yeah.
but apparently there is no trace in Greece. It's unbelievable, because they don't have this DNA in Greece. And regarding the comparison between Soave and Millesulmare, I mean, they are two different words, because Soave, we are talking about a wine produced in Veneto at less of 400 meters above sea level. And Grecanico Dorato and Millesulmare I produce in 1,100 meters above sea level. So extreme altitude, extreme contest and terroir, no? And then Soave can contain other grape beside Garganega, no? Like Trebbiano di Soave or Chardonnay. And so for this reason, I think it's a bit different.
I agree. So in terms of the volcanic soils at your vineyards, how would you say that, how does the volcanic soil contribute to the wine?
I think that it's the volcanic soil, especially depends on Grecanico Dorato, and in this case Millesulmare, is crucial, because we are talking about a millennium lava flow, so it's very ancient volcanic lava, volcanic soil, but I think that even in this case, the grape is in command in my wines. In fact, I devote all my efforts and my energy to make happy and healthy, as I mentioned before, my grapes, because my goal, my purpose is to respect and preserve the nature, a whole framework around this vineyard, to keep everything in balance, no? And I want even the winemaking approach is uh, is uh, is minimal, because I want. I think if you have an healthy grape, you don't need no some makeup, because in this case you can change and alterate the characteristics of the grape, and I think this is the fil rouge to connect all my vintage, although pretty different, because depends on the weather, depends on what happened in specific vintage. This is the beauty, no?
Italian Wine Podcast, brought to you by Mama Jumbo Shrimp.
And the winemaking process, as I mentioned, is very minimal. I don't want to alter the true identity of the grapes. And after the harvest, Grecanico Dorato, I put immediately in the small box, 15 or 20% maximum, because I don't want to risk to damage my precious grapes. And immediately we go to the winery to start the soft pressing process that produce the 60% of most, and the pressure is very low, under of 0.6 bar, nothing. And then we start with the vinification process, and it's pretty interesting. But I mean, I can talk about this in a specific way in next our podcast. And I think that the most important thing is that at the end, what the wine that my passionate clients and wine lovers can taste in the glass is very true, is is the same thing that I have tasting when I work in the vineyard, tasting my grapes. So it's the same thing.
Yes, surely. I think the moment that I first tasted the Millesulmare was very unforgettable.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
pleasure. Whenever
Okay.
you want.
I'm just conscious of the time. I still have a lot of questions for you. Maybe we'll move on from Millesulmare to talk a little bit about Tempesta, your Metodo Classico, as well as your red wine Calma Rossa. I love the name. I love the juxtaposition.
Thank you.
Yeah, of calmness. As well as the immense power and energy of the volcano. I had that wine once as well in Hong Kong during Christmas, and it was also very beautiful. So, could you maybe tell us more about these two wines?
With pleasure, with pleasure. A little bit, I've started talking about Tempesta before, and as I mentioned, is comes from a special plot, 13 plots. I know in American 13 is maybe okay, but it's well, here in Italy is a very nice number, and here it's crucial for me because I don't want to cut this as I mentioned before, these monuments, these ancient trees. I want to protect them, and for this reason, I think about it to produce a metodo classico because all things are in the right place, and a serendipity too take the occasion to produce this sparkling wine, very very special. But the most important thing, talking about Tempesta, is that in Sicily, I want to be honest, usually we are not proper, focused on a production of sparkling wine because it's a prerogative of the northwest of Italy. And the most part of the wine, usually the producers, okay, I send the wine in the northwest side of the Italy, and that's it. But for me, it's wrong because I don't want to put my wine in a black box, and then and the wine that I have now, what's happened? But it's the same time, is the same wine. I don't know. I'm a bit no, I don't want to do it. For this reason, I call a team from Franciacorta. They come in Sicily, and we work together to produce a great and unique metodo classico. And I'm very happy to do it because I see that my example, it has been inspired for my other colleagues, and working towards excellence. So it's very interesting. And the in 2015, I was happy to keep to left for 24 months my metodo classic on the east. But in 2016, I decided to try with 30 months because I think it can reduce a little bit the breadcrumb aroma and research more finesse. Of course, we are talking about more or less in 1,000 bottles, very tiny production, but very very special. And about Calmarossa, I'm very happy you like you like the name because yes, it's every single name of my wines recall the volcano, the sea, and the framework around. And in fact, Calmarossa reminds this beautiful and romantic sunset on the sea, while Etna is showing her superpowers playing with the red lava. So Nerello Mascalese and Nerello Cappuccio is match made in heaven and work together to give me a great Calmarossa because I mean that Nerello Mascalese is a very powerful grape, but its acidity and tannins and a lot of energy sometimes are difficult to manage. For this reason, I think that if using Nerello Mascalese a little bit, we make Cappuccio, sorry. I love Nerello Mascalese and the Nerello Cappuccio. Yeah, Nerello Cappuccio. It's makes Nerello Mascalese a little bit more gentle in terms of color, in terms of fragrances, and so for this reason, I think that and at the same time, I think oak helps. Personally, I don't like it a lot. Taste the wood in wines, but depend how you can use the wood in wines, no? And I use only French oak from selected forest, Allier, Cher, Fontainebleau, and all the wood is selected the grain and to reduce the tennis release, and I ask for the wood to be steamed and not prepared just toast with the fire to minimize the impact in my wine. Usually I use barrique and tonneau, and I keep for several years. And I usually I put in the barrique or in tonneau only the 60% of my wine. The other part remain in the still. And then the aging in the bottle, I think, is crucial. In fact, I'm presenting now the 2019, and I believe it. Yes, it's still young, but I already think has the character to face connoisseurs.
Okay, thanks. Before we move on to talk about, biodiversity and all of that, actually, I would like to ask you about whether or not you will produce a fifth wine. Is it going to be Albanello? Can you maybe tell us a bit more about Albanello? Because I think the audience would be very interested to know more about this grape. We can't even find much, in books about this grape.
Yeah. No. I know. Yes, Albanello is one of my dream. I want to be honest. When I started to with the Grecanico Dorato, saving and protecting this precious DNA, I was very lucky because I found some mother plants, Prophyloxera of Albanello, and I want to protect this DNA because nobody knows Albanello Mount Etna, because usually Albanello they produce on the south of Sicily, no? And for this reason, I always thought that it's a kind of miracle, no? Find this grade on the top of Mount Etna. We are talking about at 1,100 meters, 1,200 meters above sea level, so very high. And the reason which I love this grape variety is that I've studied a lot because I'm very curious girl, and apparently seems that Albanello was a precious grape to able to produce the best white wines in Sicily, because it could age up to 100 years.
100.
100 years.
Wow.
It's unbelievable. When I read this, oh my gosh, this is one of my favorite grape. I want to take care of him, of it. Sorry, for me, it's like a baby, a boy. Yes, my baby. So, and another story or a legend who knows that I love was called Albanello, which recalls a beautiful sunrise, because it was considered precious wine. Because in the past used to toast when the soldiers came back at home and rejoined their families after the war. So this precious image in my mind, in my heart, touched my soul. And this is moment of joy and celebration, and the sunrise is special and unique.
Yeah, amazing.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And,
Yes,
and, one of the other beautiful and mystical things about Etna is the existence of very old vines and, these relic varieties that you've mentioned, some of them. Could you maybe tell us a bit more about your project in the preservation of relic and rare vines on Etna? And why are you spending, so much energy into these varieties and not focus on the better known and famous varieties? Could you tell us a bit more about that project? Very interesting.
Oh yeah. This project is different. Is different. Many people, many people define me. Ah, you are crazy, but why? You are focused on this very unusual project. Yes, it's simple. As I mentioned before, I love doing something different, and then I want to be a guardian, a custodian of this beautiful patrimony, because we are lucky. We are we are rich in biodiversity, so we are preserve it. And then I think it's a shame only focus on a very famous grape, Caricante, Catarratto, Nerello, etc., because we are rich of these native grape varieties on the volcano. As I told you before, I'm working with the local university to identify 15 grape varieties. So it's unbelievable, no? Because you can understand how rich is our volcanic soil. And this is so special. And I called, I focused my attention, my force and energy to bring to life this reliquia, no? Grape varieties almost extinct, because I think it's my duty. Pay respect for the nature, for this beautiful patrimony. It's my duty for now and for the future generation. I'm mom of 3 beautiful babies, and so I want that my babies can taste in their glass one day a special wine who nobody tastes from a lot of century, no? And another point a bit peculiar is that I wanted to study to become an archaeologist. It was my dream, but unfortunately my parents couldn't afford to pay the university I wanted to attend. So ended up graduating in economy, okay? But today I really love my job and I don't want to change it for anything. So in a certain way, discovering and protecting the ancient grapes varieties, it's like
archaeology.
Yeah. It's like accomplish my initial dream, no? And so this give more lymph, more energy, and I'm working at once from varieties that no one has ever tasted, and it's unbelievable. I feel like Hiram Bingham when he found Machu Picchu, and it is like bringing back to life the T-Rex. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's really admirable how you are so brave in taking all these risks to do something very difficult, and working on such extreme conditions, and your vineyards are so high up, so steep. Can you tell us about the challenges you face working with such extreme conditions?
Yeah. I have A lot of enemy. No, I'm joking, but in a certain time it's true. First of all, you have to think about it to the altitude. We are in Casa Decima Vineyard at 1,100 meters above sea level. The altitude is extreme, and the soil, the volcanic soil, completely different. It's young black volcanic sand in Mount Ilice, and we have very ancient lava soil in Casa Decima Vineyard, but um, working in such a wild and natural framework around my vineyard, I have fight against the rabbit, the wild pigs, the birds, especially during warm season, or the wildfires. We have a lot of arsons. It's unbelievable because they destroyed everything. For instance, in 2015 on Mount Ilice, I risked to lost my vineyards. Fortunately, I have cleaned the area around my vineyards because I have a huge forest around the vineyards. And I tried to limit the damages, but sometimes you look what's happened in nature, and okay, it can happen, but when it's a narsons, you are very angry because but why?
Yeah.
Why? It's no way. And then you have to consider that we are talking about an extreme vineyard on the volcano. So sometimes it's great to produce wine on the volcano because Etna erupts often. So in one side of this eruption is good because I have a free organic fertilizer for my vineyard. But the other side, it could be dangerous because a lot of stones, a lot of volcanic ashes completely covered my leaves, my vineyard, my grapes. So, and then you don't have forgot the earthquakes because we have a lot of earthquakes. In 2018, a terrible Etna earthquakes destroyed my Palmento, my old winery, for instance. So it's crazy, but it's part of the game, no? And at the same time, it's the beauty.
Yeah, I see that there are some questions from the audience, but let me just maybe close with one question from me on biodiversity. I am, when before the podcast, when we were chatting, you mentioned that certain trees and wild plants actually influence the flavor of some of your wines. Can you maybe tell us a bit more about that? And is that part of the reason that you prioritize biodiversity?
Yeah. I always considered that the framework around my vineyard is crucial. So my attention is not only focused on only my vineyard, my grapes. Of course, they are very very important for me to produce my wines, but I think it's a teamwork all together, the nature, all the olive trees, fruit trees, and around the vineyard, like a beautiful orchard, give more power to my vineyard and protect at the same time my vineyard. I'm against on the monoculture because I think it's wrong. If you have a monoculture in the vineyard, you use chemicals, you can use pesticides, you killed all the ecosystem around the vineyard. It's a shame. I cannot hear this because we are custodian. We are lucky because our job is a duty, no, to protect the nature. For us, for the new generation, we don't forget this.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you so
welcome.
much. I will maybe pass it back to Laika to wrap up and maybe take some of the questions from the audience.
Hello, hi Charlotte, hi Sonia. Thank you so much for your time. I mean, it's the conversation is getting more interesting, but unfortunately, we don't have enough time for it. So I'm sorry, but although we are raising some questions from the audience, first is from Guid Colonetti. Hello, I'm gonna read it. So, hello, I must admit I'm totally in love with this story and I've got Millesulmare in my blood. But given this is a female story, when are we going to see a fabulous rosé from Santa Maria La Nave? Thanks. Then I'll just read the other two comments. So the other one is from Alan Kwok. So he said, we read that La Nave was the vineyard from Admiral Nelson, and his descendant was responsible to introduce Grenache to Etna. Do we know that was what was actually planted in Contrada Nave at that time? And then Rick Liotro also wrote, true, Grenache on Etna is called Alicante. So can you answer it, Sonia, in one brief response? Yeah.
Yeah, no. Concerning to Grenache, I'm very, how can I say? Thank you, Rick Liotro and Alan Nope, because you are very expert in this grape variety. We have Grenache, and it's true, but we don't use for the vinification. Just protect and to keep them, because yes, Grenache on Etna is called Alicante, is the name change, but the grape variety is the same. And thanks to Guido Colonetti, because I know you like a lot my Millesulmare, and I'm very delighted about it. So thank you so much for share my wines, even with your friends and your family. And thank you so much for all. Thank you, guys. Thank you. It has been an honor and a pleasure to be here to tell my story.
Thank you, Sonia, and thank you, Charlotte. That was really inspiring and really in-depth discussion. And I sincerely thank you, even that you find time and effort to be together to do this interview. Before I close the interview, I would like to announce that the next Clubhouse is on April 18 on Tuesday next week at the same time at 6 p.m. Italian time zone, CET. So we have Andrea Ebbi. She's back and she will be interviewing Diletta Tonello, the president of Dorelle Lissini Consortio. And for those who would like to participate for our Clubhouse Ambassadors Corner, for Italian wine ambassadors who are here and listeners, just send me a DM or email me or Joy, our Italian wine podcast producer, at info@italianwinepodcast.com. So thank you so much, everyone, for listening in. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
We're off
Bye.
to drink Millesulmare now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's dinner time is coming. We are
Yes.
starting
Have a good dinner.
with us to celebrate this
Yes.
adventure.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Goodbye.
Thank you, Laika. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Listen to the Italian Wine Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Himalaya FM, and more. Don't forget to subscribe and rate the show. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. Until next time, chin chin.